Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, How to Protect Your Organization Against Internet Outages. My name is Tina Plant and I'm the Marketing Manager at Ecessa. Our presenter for today's session is Mike Siegler, CEO of Ecessa Corporation. Mike has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Mathematics, a Bachelor of Science degree in Electrical Engineering, and a Master of Science degree in the Management of Technology. He has worked in engineering and technology for firms including Digi International, Seagate Technology, Medtronic, General Electric, and United Technologies. So to frame up our conversation for today, why are we here? Because internet outages are bad for business. You probably heard about the big CenturyLink outage that happened in December. It lasted 2 days and it knocked out communications and data services for a lot of organizations across several states. They had to deal with loss of revenue, angry customers, just a lot of upheaval. And in fact, the FCC is investigating. Many of you might have had to deal with that outage. And if you did, if you would do me a favor and please leave a comment in the chat bar. So nationwide outages make the news. And regional outages and local outages, they also happen super frequently, daily in fact. They are caused by fires, wind, backhoes, vehicles hitting utility poles, animals, vandals, you name it. And they all hurt business. While accidents are beyond the control of any internet service provider, there are things you can do to protect your organization against these inevitable outages. I'll turn it over to Mike now to tell you how. He'll also explain how to go beyond failover with additional features of Ecessa products.
All right, well, thank you, Tina. I appreciate the opportunity today to talk with you. And again, I appreciate everyone joining this webinar. I know that your time is valuable, and I look forward to answering any of your questions as we go forward. So as Tina stated, please feel free to communicate with us on the chat bar during the presentation, ask questions. I'll stop periodically. And then at the end of the presentation, we'll leave time and unmute you so that we can talk freely. And again, there's always an opportunity to touch base with us offline or set up a dedicated conversation with any one of us in the organization. So again, wonderful to be a part of this today. As Tina stated, outages are bad news for business in general. And Ecessa has been doing business for over 16 years, and we've seen a lot of really bad situations. We've also seen where our products are deployed, customers come back and give us a reference, a positive reference, around the fact that we helped save their bacon or really helped them stay up and their network was up and their employees were productive, even though there were some major outages occurring. So we love those success stories, and we love to share those with prospective customers on how you can avoid those outages and you can plan ahead to avoid those outages. So first and foremost, a lot of customers ask me, so what is this SD-WAN thing? Why do I care about resiliency? Why do I care about failover? And I like to use this graphic because it kind of shows the progression of how we as business leaders have been using our internet services over the years, right? Back up 7 or 10 years ago, and we typically had a very slow single line that we were connecting to the internet. And we were doing simple things in our business. We were maybe downloading an FTP file. We were maybe reading the news on a website. And over time, we've been adding more and more of our business critical applications on those connections. I hear frequently of people who are trying to deploy voice over IP, trying to use more Office 365 products, trying to use more real-time video types of streaming services, and they're frustrated by the performance of their internet connection. So at the bottom, the real takeaway is that the Ecessa products, WAN failover products, SD-WAN products, put you back in control, allow you as business leaders and as technical directors, allow you to proactively build a resilient connection, leveraging multiple internet connections, being able to provide that resiliency to outages or poor performing lines, as well as being able to take advantage of that extra bandwidth that's now frequently available throughout the country and throughout the world. We've seen a significant impact, a significant uptick in customers upgrading their WAN connections, taking advantage of gigabit circuits that are now available or new fiber that's been rolled out in their area. And the Ecessa product allows you to integrate those connections in addition to the connections you already have. as well as having complete control over how that traffic is routed. So the Ecessa products give you that capability to route your phone traffic over one connection, access Office 365 over another connection, or use all connections simultaneously in a load balancing type of scenario. So hopefully there'll be some good user case studies on successful avoidance of outages that we can talk about a little bit later. So we talked a little bit about what's driving that dependence on more and more internet, more and more bandwidth, more and more ubiquitous availability. And it really does come back to some of those other cool new services that are cost effective enough for businesses large and small to adopt. First and foremost is that voice over IP, right? I'm sure a lot of you have either migrated to voice over IP, are currently investigating it, or trying to retire your older PBX-based phone systems. It is a tremendous trend in the marketplace today, and there's amazing opportunities for improved communication performance for businesses, small, large, multi-site, etc. But that requires very good internet connections. It requires very good and reliable internet connections. That second driver is the cloud-hosted applications. Again, all of us are migrating away from the old Microsoft Office based on a PC to Office 365 or Salesforce.com, or everything you can think of, including the Zoom presentation we're using today, is all cloud-based, which means if I don't have a good connection to the internet in my last mile from my office to wherever I have a good internet point of presence, I am not going to have a successful outcome. The other thing we talked about was bandwidth, that need for speed, right? The majority of us are always out there reviewing our contracts, reviewing what's available in our area, and reviewing what our internal employees are saying in terms of what is their experience with our internet connection. Without an Ecessa device, we're typically stuck with one connection from one provider. And either that's expensive, or it has limited bandwidth opportunities, or again, it's single-threaded, as Tina was talking about earlier. If you have CenturyLink and they have that outage, you're going to be affected if you don't have an Ecessa-like product and a secondary connection. So it really does come down to being proactive, almost thinking about it like insurance, right? When do we want to buy insurance for our families or ourselves? We want to purchase that insurance ahead of time, right? Before bad things happen. So we want to be thinking about that on a regular basis as part of regular business planning and upgrading. With the Ecessa products, you're able to really take over control of some of those more critical features that you're trying to deploy across your network, including that voice over IP. If you buy a connection from a Ring Central or an 8x8 or any new number of different voice over IP providers, you're going to still have to make sure that your edge is resilient, that your local offices have the failover and multiple WAN connectivity that you'll want to have to never drop that phone call. And we can help there. Same with that cloud application. Never lose that connectivity. Never lose that opportunity to get kicked out of a remote desktop session or drop a change that was made on a shared file. We can integrate any kind of bandwidth from any provider and provide you that capability for failover. Now again, Ecessa has been around for a long time, and some of you are existing customers, and we appreciate your business, and we appreciate you being a part of the Ecessa family. But we also, when we've been around for quite a while, we started with very simple feature sets, and we've since added. So there's an opportunity to talk a little bit today about what is this SD-WAN thing, right? So Ecessa has been around. We started with resiliency, failover products, and over time we've added a lot of features. And as the market has changed and a lot of competitors have come into the space, we've started to refer to this space differently, including this buzzword SD-WAN, or software-defined wide area networking. Now, I don't like buzzwords because, again, it's confusing. It doesn't exactly explain what we do or how we do it or why it's important to you as a business, right? SD-WAN is too vague. So really what we're talking about is the added feature set above and beyond failover, right? The basic Ecessa appliances provide failover. They provide load balancing. They provide bandwidth aggregation. They provide a quality of service engine for outbound traffic. In other words, being able to prioritize different applications, being able to provide routing policies and failover policies for different applications. And they're scalable to any business, from a single site doctor's office, a single site dentist office, to a multi-site bank. They're really scalable and have accommodating feature sets. But there's more. Like we talked about, we've been around for over 16 years, based in Minneapolis. And what we really pride ourselves on is our technical and customer support. I hope that some of you have some positive experiences that you can share later, but we take great pride in our customer satisfaction rating of 98.6% today, and that we've been able to maintain our relationships with our existing customers. I like to refer to you as our fiercely loyal customers, that we've gone through good times and bad, and we've been able to solve a lot of important problems together, and hopefully your businesses are running better, are running more smoothly with the Ecessa appliances deployed. We've been able to help over 10,000 different companies over the years, deploying all around the world, small or large organizations. We're very proud of that. Now, as this SD-WAN marketplace gets more complicated and larger and encompasses more and more people, I like to come back and remind people how we're different, right? Why stay with Ecessa? Why is Ecessa still relevant today, where there's so many people talking about SD-WAN? And I answer this question a lot, and I walk through specific examples, and I bring out case studies that some of you have helped us author. And first and foremost, I think it's really two major areas that I'm very proud of. First is our architecture, right? So when it comes to technology, you can solve problems in a myriad of different ways. And the way that Ecessa solves SD-WAN is through our architecture. Our product is premises-based, meaning we don't have a cloud-based gateway, a cloud-based subscription that's required for your system to run. The system is self-contained. So even if there are outages, if Ecessa, if our corporate office goes down, your network continues to run and operate unimpacted, right? You have full control over that. The second is how easy we are to deploy. We don't require customers to change IP addressing schemes. We integrate into your existing environment. I also like to bring out that we're carrier agnostic. So even though we have carrier partnerships, we are not beholden to any individual carrier. The technology is our own, so we service it as an independent component of your network. The glory there is that, again, giving you full control. If you don't believe what CenturyLink tells you, or Comcast tells you, or AT&T or Verizon tell you, Ecessa is here to be an unbiased partner to help you wade through what's actually happening on your wide area network. We support very high bandwidth. Something we've seen quite recently is the uptick in more customers taking multiple gigabit circuits, and we have products that can accommodate those very high bandwidths, up to 10 and 20 gigabits. So if you're looking at upgrading your existing environment and you want to add higher and higher bandwidth connectivity, we have a product for you. And then last, I think, and most important to a lot of our customers, is they have full control. And we'll talk a little bit about banking and healthcare case studies where that full control is absolutely critical, because you have to be able to demonstrate compliance requirements to your board of directors, to a regulatory body, or some other third-party auditing organization that requires that you demonstrate that no one else can hack into your environment, or that you're beholden to any third-party service for your core network routing needs. And that's something very important. The second major component of what differentiates Ecessa is our guaranteed deployments. Again, I am extremely proud of the hard work that the team has done over the last 2 years to really outmaneuver some of our competitors in terms of creating that 100% customer conversion. I'll repeat that. For the last 2 years, every device that we've shipped has been successfully deployed. I'm very proud of that, because we do not let customers fail. If we need to help out and go through some extraordinary efforts to solve issues, we will do that. We are that trusted advisor, and we don't stop until you're happy with your solution and it's meeting your needs. That is our guarantee, my guarantee to you. Again, pushing that 99% customer satisfaction rate. making sure that every interaction you have with our tech support, our sales, our marketing is positive. And that if it's not, we listen and we make corrective action. So we do care about our customers greatly. Last year was a really successful year. We had over 400 deployments, so we kept us very, very busy. But the important piece to that is, again, that 400 were successful, 100%. I'm very proud that we provide a fully managed service for our customers. And again, they have an option, right? So you as a customer can decide to self-manage. You can control that solution. You can manage it yourself, or you can pick up the phone or send an email to us, and we'll do it for you anytime, day or night, any day of the week. And everyone gets tier 1 support. Another thing that's very important is that when a customer calls and they're in an urgent situation, they don't have to go through 3 tiers of support to get their question answered. When you call Ecessa, you have a degreed engineer who knows that product inside and out available to you. So those of you who are not familiar with Ecessa or with how it fits into your network, we kind of have a textbook illustration here to kind of show where it fits and why it's different. I like this illustration for 2 main reasons. First, it shows that we sit at that edge of your network, that we are that first thing that your traffic sees as it comes in or the last thing it sees before it leaves, allowing us to help guarantee that transport, making sure that it gets where it needs to go. Secondly, I like to show this slide because it's truly demonstrative of how we integrate into any network, how we can seamlessly integrate without having to rip and replace things that you already have deployed. Our product has multiple different modes in it because it is a traditional router product. So we can do a full natting mode, we can do a translucent mode, or we can even operate in bridge modes, depending on what you need us to do. We don't require you to change IP addressing schemes because we are premises-based, meaning you're going to leverage your CenturyLink IP addresses, your AT&T IP addresses, et cetera, and so forth. And when we're talking about integrating in with MPLS, we're friendly to MPLS. So if you want to keep your MPLS, we can help you. If you want to replace that MPLS with internet circuits, we can help with that as well. And if you have a managed firewall that you rely on a third party to be able to have access to, we can provide a translucent mode to that IP address on that firewall. So we don't require you to change that relationship or that configuration, including any remote VPN users. We have a lot of customers that like Cisco AnyConnect for their remote users, and they want to leverage a Cisco ASA for their security needs. That's not a problem. We can still provide that failover and load balancing at the edge and still pass through those encrypted connections without having to touch them or unencrypt and re-encrypt them. Again, adding more security and more capability.
We do have a question. What is your support for LTE? Does it require different hardware?
Good question. Yeah, so on the LTE front, what we do is our products do integrate with an Ethernet handoff. So when people deploy LTE today, they typically will use a router product from a third party and then integrate us in. We also have different configuration options that allow it to be used only in a spare mode or an emergency failover mode, so you're not constantly leveraging that bandwidth or creating extra charges if you don't need it. Now, the benefit to that architecture is typically when people are deploying our product, it's not sitting in a place that gets really good cellular coverage. So we've found that by being modular and being able to place that modem or that router wherever the cell signal is best, we can then route our product or can sit anywhere in the network, including data centers or basements or wherever that might be. Hopefully that answered the question.
How fast do you fail over to LTE?
Good question. That's programmable. So one of the things that differentiates our product is that the Ecessa devices were custom built to fail over quickly and to be completely customizable for your business. So we have the capability to change the test points you're using to determine if there's a true failover or not, to determine how many test pings it takes to create a failover event. So it can be as short as sub 1 second, or it can be 10 seconds if you decide to set up so that you don't have flapping. You can have automatic failover, automatic failback, or disable that. So the product is very customizable to meet your needs and to really adapt to your environment. The other thing that we're proud of is that the Ecessa products can scale to any size enterprise. Like I said before, we have a lot of single site customers who might have a power link at one location just to aggregate that bandwidth and to provide them some failover. We also have large multi-site enterprises that rely on our product to stitch together a very large, complex mesh network of public and private connections across multiple states or even multiple countries. So the product can scale to meet your needs. I wanted to also make sure that we review the Ecessa product line. This might be something new that you haven't seen for a while because over the years we've made changes as well. So today we sell 3 different products, and the purpose for these 3 different products is to really match any business need and any business budget. We know that not everyone needs the full WANworks product that has full packet level duplication and packet level control. A lot of times customers might just need an edge product for that basic failover or to augment their existing solutions. But what we do find is that the PowerLink and the WANworks products are very complementary for large multi-site businesses. That PowerLink does a great job of being able to create native VPN interfaces, as well as use a unique feature, our authoritative DNS engine, which is great for fast inbound failover for colleges, universities, folks that are locally hosting a domain that many people have to log in to get access to. We can provide fast outbound DNS updates so that customers, clients, students can access that domain very quickly instead of a normal DNS service. And again, I can answer more questions on that if asked. The other thing that's important is that with all of these products, they're software upgradable. So we're very friendly to if a customer doesn't know if they need WANworks yet and they want to start with a PowerLink. We can software upgrade them to WANworks over time if they need it. So it really gives you some sense of future-proofing your environment. And like I said earlier, we try to be very, very friendly to our existing Ecessa customers, and we provide loyalty discounts and very gracious trade-in credits as well. So if you are upgrading your bandwidth, or if you've had a device that's end of life, we can help you get up and current to the latest and greatest solutions that we have. So a couple of case studies, right? So we talk a little bit about, that's great, PowerPoint, thanks Mike, appreciate it, but I hear that from everybody else. So I also like to come back and say, all right, don't ask me, talk to some of our existing customers, let them tell you what the real deal is on solving their problems. So I've got a couple of select case studies here I'll just go through quickly. The first is Kimpton. So in a hospitality environment, right? Today, when we travel for business and we stay at a hotel, what are some of the things that we need? Wi-Fi, 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 right? So we make our buying decisions on where we're going to stay based on how good our experience is. So Kimpton, in this case, had 2 major items that they wanted to address. First was they wanted their guest Wi-Fi to never have an interruption, right? Have access to that new bandwidth and never be down. Secondly, they wanted to be able to maintain connectivity to their back office, to their data center for their business critical applications. And for a hotel, it was time tracking in ERP systems. And so we were able to, with our PowerLink 1250s at each hotel, be able to load balance large circuits and be able to divide up the traffic so that guest Wi-Fi was primarily going over one connection and their critical business traffic was going over the other, with a session load balance option that if one circuit got too full, that they could be load balancing to the other circuit. So really able to fine tune each hotel and to their different needs. And again, some of their hotels have large conference areas. Some are just smaller boutique hotels. So there was a lot of different requirements from site to site. Another recent win for us was a multi-site bank. And this is Points West Bank based out of Nebraska. They came to us trying to solve some of their traditional needs. They wanted to replace their MPLS and they wanted to be able to create more resiliency from site to site. Also, they needed to make sure that it was completely secure, right? So they had started down the path of working with a cloud-based SD-WAN provider and realized very quickly that their board of directors and the Federal Reserve Bank was not going to sign off on that type of environment. They needed to have it self-contained. They needed a premises-based solution like Ecessa. During that deployment, we were able to turn up all of their 17 different sites in a very short period of time. Again, guiding through that deployment process, helping them understand how to deploy the technology, testing it side by side with them, and fine-tuning it until they were satisfied with the outcome. So today, they were able to move past their MPLS, integrate new bandwidth that they needed, and make sure that they didn't have any of those VDI or Citrix sessions dropped from site to site. And this was actually closed through a partner as well, who was a long-time partner with them, had sold them different technologies over the years. So again, made sure that everyone's relationship maintained, because we all know that we put our name on something or recommend a solution, that it's important that we follow through successfully. And I'm very proud to say that we did. One more case study in the transportation area is a regional airline that we support. And again, in this situation, they needed to make sure that they were never down, because the FAA fines airlines if they have an outage, if there's a ground stop, for obvious reasons. Furthermore, we don't want to have, like the CenturyLink example earlier, we don't want to have this airline's name plastered on the internet as a cause of an outage. So they were proactive and deployed our product across their different data centers to make sure that their VDI sessions, their phone calls, and that critical FAA application that is running was never down. And this is a situation where this organization had lots of different connections. They had 2 MPLS connections, 2 fiber connections, and an LTE backup that we were able to scale and accommodate for them. And then the last one is a local construction firm. And in this case, the gentleman who helped deploy this really was going for a fully virtualized solution. When he's building a stadium or he's building a shopping mall, he needs to go into an environment that is not built out. There's not infrastructure readily available. So what he does in this case is string multiple DSL lines, 7 or 8 DSL lines, into an Ecessa product, and then creates a never down connection back to his data center, where he can then do full virtual environments from his corporate data center to each of his remote construction trailers, dramatically reducing the cost and the time needed to turn up each one of those trailers. Furthermore, he was able to control security a lot more as well, because if someone broke into that construction trailer and stole those dumb terminal servers, there was nothing on them. They were essentially all remotely supported through their corporate headquarters. So really it was a win-win for that customer. Now, a couple other things that I want to make sure that we talk about, because I don't know if all of our existing customers use all of our features. But first and foremost, Ecessa does have a cloud-based management portal. Okay, this is an optional portal that all of our current customers have access to, that allows you to log in and see all of your devices in one place. So this is kind of that single pane of glass that a lot of people today have, because they might have 10 different devices scattered across the country, and you're not sure what version of software you're on, when SLAs expire, how they're doing, what's their utilization, etc. This platform allows you to log in and see all of those. Also, we continue to add new features to this platform. So over time, we're going to continue to add new free features that you'll be able to use to help manage your environment and be alerted and be updated. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to let us know. If you're an existing customer, you can turn on your free Insight portal access by just sending an email to technical support at help@ecessa.com and just request access to Ecessa Insight. A new feature that we've added in the last year is Insight Plus. Now, this is an incremental service that we offer for an additional cost each month, but we actually do ISP monitoring and ticketing. And the genesis of this idea was some of our existing customers would come back to us and say, would you please take over, opening tickets with my ISP on my behalf? And we were a little reluctant, but we're like, well, tell us a bit more. They said, well, look, we like your tech support so much that when there's an outage, if there's an issue, the first people I call is you. We call Ecessa tech support because they're able to log into the device, see what's going on, really troubleshoot truly if it's an outage or not. And so we obliged, and we created this service where if you have an Ecessa product, obviously our product is monitoring the health of your different ISP connections. And if one of those connections goes down, we automatically seamlessly fail that over and send the traffic down the good connection. But what we'll also do then with this additional service is automate generating a ticket on your behalf, where we'll pick up the phone, call your ISP that's down, and open a ticket and monitor that ticket and get it closed. Once that's all completed, we'll then send you a summary of what happened each month. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Insight Plus and the costs and availability, please let us know. So kind of coming full circle on, thank you again for being an Ecessa customer if you are already. If you're a prospective customer, I look forward to having a follow-up conversation and hopefully can win your trust. But essentially, why Ecessa? We've been doing this for a long time. We've really fine-tuned our approach. We've really built a solid platform, and we've been scalable to lots of different businesses and bandwidth sizes. We guarantee our deployment. We've been doing this a long time, and we've been fine-tuning it, and we know what issues to look for. We know what hurdles to pay attention to and how to work around issues. And again, we do not stop until that deployment is successful. Our support is second to none, and love to hear your success stories of interacting with our tech support teams. And again, proven technology. We've got a lot of devices out there, and we don't have a lot of issues and a lot of calls coming in, which is all positive. So I take that as a good step in the right direction. Well, again, I want to thank everyone for your time today. Again, I know your time is valuable, and hopefully we've hit a lot of really good information here in 40 minutes, and hopefully it was helpful. Feel free to reach out to us. Look forward to following up with any questions you might have. And if we don't hear from you soon, have a wonderful weekend, and thank you again for your business.